To deal with my family nagging me to get married, I found a girl online to set up a fake marriage. Who would have thought that when registering at the Civil Affairs Bureau, the staff member would look at me with utter contempt. You're already married, and you still came to register. Don't you know about the crime of bigamy? Walking out of the Civil Affairs Bureau, I looked at the printed marriage certificate, feeling a bit dazed. The girl beside me also said regretfully, Mr. Fong, you're already married. Why did you still waste money hiring me? Then, leaving a line about the deposit being non-refundable, she quickly slipped away. I froze on the spot, not yet having recovered my senses. I, who had never even held a girl's hand, how could I possibly already be married? I looked at the printout in my hand again. The man in the photo on the ID was indeed myself. As for the woman, her name was Su Chinue. She looked quite beautiful, but I didn't know her at all. I took out my phone to snap a photo of the printout, and sent it to a contact with a black profile picture via WeChat. Help me check who she is. The other party replied, received, within seconds, only then allowing me to suppress the confusion in my heart. Afterward, I rode a shabby electric scooter, leisurely driving into a luxury villa district. Just as I parked the scooter in a corner, the gossip of the servants came from behind me. Who is he? He's so handsome. Keep it down, don't talk nonsense. He's an illegitimate son who isn't recognized by the master. His mother is a mistress. Back then, when the mistress was about to give birth, she showed up at the door with a big belly demanding an explanation, causing both women to give birth on the exact same day. That old woman has a really thick skin. For so many years, she has kept finding all kinds of reasons to freeload at home and refuse to leave. He, on the other hand, knows his place. He moved out back in junior high school, and hasn't been back for many years. I don't know what brings him here today. I frowned, pretending not to hear their conversation. Entering the living room, my mother, Lee Ruyan, was waiting right by the door. Seeing me come in, she immediately dragged me upstairs in a panic. Come with me to see your brother first. By the way, you got the marriage certificate, right? I replied flatly, I got it. Although the bride changed to someone else, this still counts as getting it, right? That's good. You must remember your identity. Su Feishue is your brother's fiancée. That kind of top-tier wealthy family is not something an illegitimate son like you can hope for. Only your brother is worthy of her. Hearing these words, a flash of mockery crossed my eyes. Su Feishue is the eldest granddaughter of the Su family, the #1 prestigious clan in Haicheng. She pursued me for 4 years in university, yet on graduation day, she ended up with my brother, Fong Boda. After Li Ruyan found out, she demanded that I find someone to marry immediately, completely cutting off any possibility between me and Su Feishue. It has been like this since childhood. As long as there is the slightest conflict of interest between me and Fong Boda, Li Ruyan would always demand that I back down unconditionally. Because I am an illegitimate son, my very existence is a sin. When I was a child, I was brainwashed, and felt that enduring all this was only natural, but the current me has long since woken up. I looked at Li Ruyan mockingly and said, all right, this is the last time. The mistakes were made by Li Ruyan. To see my father every day, the one freeloading at the Fong house and refusing to leave is her. The one wanting to please Fong Boda is also her. I will not use my own life to pay the bill for her. This time is just to take the opportunity to repay her for giving birth to me, and to make a clean break. Li Ruyan said impatiently, I know. While talking, we arrived at Fong Boda's room. Seeing me, Fong Boda greeted, Lanzhao, what brings you here? Before I could speak, Li Ruyan rushed to answer, Boda. Lanzhao got married today. Fong Boda was surprised, so fast. What kind of person is she? Is she even better than Sister Feishue? Li Ruyan mocked, how could that be? In the entire Haicheng, you won't find anyone with a higher status than Miss Su. What kind of good catch could he find? She's just some street thug. He didn't even dare to bring the girl over, afraid that her impoverished look would dirty your eyes. Fong Boda's voice carried a hint of jealousy. How could that be? Lanzhao is so handsome. Otherwise, Sister Feishue wouldn't have pursued him for 4 years. What's the use of being handsome? With his status, only some trash met from God knows where would be willing to marry him. Miss Su just treated him as a toy, to play with casually. Only your status, Boda, is worthy of Miss Su. I frowned. Looking at the appearance and temperament of the woman in the photo, how could she possibly be associated with words like street thug or impoverished look? but I was too lazy to argue against these harmless words. At this time, Fong Boda had already put on his watch. He wanted to put on his leather shoes, but found that his shirt was too tight, making it inconvenient to bend over. Fong Boda smiled slightly and looked at me. Seeing this, Li Ruyan hurriedly pushed me. You useless thing, how can you still be so clueless? Your brother finds it inconvenient, hurry up and help him put on his shoes. It's like this again. Li Ruyan, do you really think I'm still that ignorant little boy from childhood, who didn't even know how to resist when being bullied? My eyes were cold, and my voice implicit with impatience. You can help him put them on yourself. Fong Lanzhao, what kind of attitude is that? Do you think your wings have grown strong just because you got a wife? That wife of yours is just a gold digger. Won't she still have to rely on the Fong family in the future? Li Ruyan raised her voice, continuing her lecture. If you don't build a good relationship with your brother now, there will come a day when you and your wife will beg before him. Moreover, the Fong family raised you, so you should work like a horse for the Fong family. Before I had time to counter, my father, Fong Wenzong, appeared at the door. He frowned. An important guest is coming soon. What are you all arguing about here? Fong Boda didn't speak. Li Ruyan complained with tears. It's all because this rebellious son got his marriage certificate today, and now he doesn't respect me as his mother at all. Hearing this, Fong Wenzong's gaze fell upon me. You're married? Why didn't you let the family help introduce someone to you? Do you have the marriage certificate? Let me see it. Facing the concern of this stranger of a father, I paused for a moment, and pulled out that printout from my bag. But in the next second, it was snatched away by Li Ruyan. Let me see what exactly this thug wife of yours is called. Fong Boda curiously asked his dad, who is coming to make you so nervous? Fong Wenzong thought of that person and instantly felt his home was greatly honored. Then he excitedly uttered a name, Zhu Qinyue. Hearing this name, I was instantly stunned. Seeing our confused looks, Fong Wenzong explained with a proud face, it's normal that you don't know him. He is very mysterious. Even I have never met him. He is Su Feishue's young uncle, only 28 years old. Yet he has already become the true person in power of the Su family now. Li Ruyan subconsciously exclaimed. Then isn't he more suitable for Boda than Su Feishue? The person in power is much better than some granddaughter of the main branch. Fong Wenzong said displeasedly, what nonsense are you talking about? Miss Su is already married. I narrowed my eyes. Married? If the person on the marriage certificate is really him, then it seems Su Qinyue should know what's going on. Li Ruyan felt slightly disappointed. Who is her husband? To be even luckier than Boda. My gaze instantly looked straight at Fong Wenzong, only to hear him say, I don't know. It is said that both he and his husband do not like socializing. Fong Wenzong frowned in deep thought. I don't know why he would suddenly come over today. The Su family is the #1 wealthy family in Haicheng, and the person in power holds an even more honorable status. The Fong family's status is only medium-high. This marriage was originally Fong Boda managing to marry above his station. It would be rare enough for the person in power of Su Feishue's family to attend a wedding. How could he personally visit on the day of delivering betrothal gifts? Li Ruyan said decisively, it must be because Boda is too outstanding, which caught the attention of the Su family. After saying that, she stuffed the unread printout back into my hand. Then she grabbed Fong Boda's hand with an excited face. I smiled sarcastically. This appearance showed more care than Mrs. Fong, the biological mother. At this time, the butler went upstairs to remind him, Sir, the Su family is almost here. Hearing this, Fong Wenzong hurriedly turned around to go downstairs. Passing by my side, he said casually, you haven't been home for a long time. Have a glass of wedding wine before you leave. I nodded along with the opportunity. I want to stay, to see who Su Qinyue really is. Inside the room, Li Ruyan looked at Fong Boda, who was preparing to marry the lady from a wealthy family. The joy and satisfaction in her eyes could not be suppressed. More than 20 years ago, if it weren't for the sudden appearance of Mrs. Fong, Nan Jingshu, the one marrying Fong Wenzong could only have been her. She hated Nan Jingshu, so she intentionally caused trouble and gave birth on the same day as her, swapping the two children in the hospital. Now her son is finally going to succeed. Nan Jingshu would even give her son a generous celebratory gift, while Fong Nanzhou could only hold the identity of an illegitimate child, and marry a gangster girl penniless. Downstairs, I leaned lazily in the dark area next to the stairs, staring in the direction of the entrance. quietly waiting for the arrival of the Su family. Unsure how much time had passed, Mrs. Fong walked down from upstairs supported by a servant. She was wearing a purple cheongsam. Her figure was slightly thin. She had a strong scholarly aura all over her, exuding a cold and detached vibe. The servant spoke in a low voice, "Madam, your health is not good, you'd better not come down." Mrs. Fong shook her head while coughing. "No, I cannot miss such an important day for Boda." I looked at Mrs. Fong's back. My eyes filled with deep affection and respect. It's ridiculous to say, Mrs. Fong, the person who should have the most right to hate me, was my only warmth in the Fong family. When I was a child, Li Ruyan often forgot to feed me. Just after learning to walk, I often rummaged through the trash can for food, because of hunger. Once, after being spotted by Mrs. Fong, she would regularly place some food for me, in the garden every day. This lasted for 12 years. If it weren't for Mrs. Fong's kindness, I probably would have starved to death long ago. Watching Mrs. Fong walk further away, and hearing her occasional coughs, I knitted my brows in worry. Just then, a commotion suddenly came from the entrance. The Su family has arrived. Fong Wenzong and Mrs. Fong greeted them at the entrance. After exchanging a few pleasantries, they stepped aside. A large group of people entered the house grandly. I spotted Su Qingyue at first glance. That face was even more beautiful than in the photos. Sensing my gaze, she suddenly looked over. For a moment, our eyes met. Her sharp gaze made my heart skip a beat. I wanted to pry into the emotions in her eyes further, but Su Qingyue withdrew her gaze and looked elsewhere. This left me a bit puzzled. With this demeanor of hers, does she know me or not? Fong Wenzong smiled and complimented, "Miss Su, where is your husband? Did he not come along?" As soon as these words came out, I felt Su Qingyue seem to glance at me again, then spoke calmly, "It's not convenient for him." The group walked toward the drawing room while chatting. Su Feishue, my old classmate who had pursued me for 4 years, followed behind the elders, wearing a formal dress. She looked more mature and steady than during university. She didn't see me, chatting absent-mindedly with Fong Boda in a low voice. The crowd escorted Su Qingyue to sit in the main seat, and began discussing the marriage of the two. Only then did I step out from the shadows. I stood there quietly, watching the bustle in the drawing room, but my arm was suddenly grabbed by someone. Li Ruyan lowered her voice and scolded, "Fong Nanzhou, what are you still doing here? Don't tell me you still haven't given up on Su Feishue. Let me tell you, she is your sister-in-law now." I broke free from her pulling with a look of disgust. "Rest assured, I'm not interested in being a third party. It was Mr. Fong who asked me to stay for a glass of wedding wine. Since I became conscious of things, my form of address for Fong Wenzong has been Mr. Fong." Li Ruyan ground her teeth in anger. "That was just his polite remark. And you took it seriously? I think you really don't know your own place. On an occasion like today, even I cannot go to embarrass the Fong family. Are you, an illegitimate child, even worthy of a seat at the table? Get out for me right now." I frowned impatiently. Just as I was about to speak, out of the corner of my eye, I caught sight of Su Qingyue standing up. She pointed to her phone and then walked toward the balcony. Probably went to answer the phone. My eyes lit up. I brushed off Li Ruyan and walked out of the living room, then turned around and headed towards the balcony. Just as I approached, the woman who was on the phone hung up, then looked at me with cold eyes. I took a step forward, meeting her dangerous gaze. Suddenly, the corners of my mouth curled up. I tentatively called out, "Wife." I stared straight at Su Qingyue to observe her reaction, but I saw that after hearing this address, the coldness on her intensified. She looked at me coldly without any emotional fluctuation, then turned around to leave. I quickly stepped forward to block her path. Su Qingyue frowned slightly. "Move. You don't recognize me?" Su Qingyue looked down at me from above. "Should I know you?" From the moment she entered the Fong family home, she felt an unusual gaze following her closely. That gaze was candid, not as nauseatingly flirtatious as others. Su Qingyue took a few more glances at me. When I was discovered by her, instead of hiding, I continued to look at her openly. She thought I was different from those men who showed greed upon seeing her, but she didn't expect me to be even bolder than those men, coming up and calling her wife. Su Qingyue's expression showed more impatience. "Sir, I am married, please show some respect." I was a bit stunned. This person clearly doesn't know me yet says she's married. Could it be that the Civil Affairs Bureau registered the wrong info? I asked, May I ask who your husband is? None of your business. Another 4 cold words. I took out the copy of the marriage certificate and handed it to her. Miss Su, the woman on this should be you, right? Su Qingyue looked at the copy. Her gaze fell on the husband's name, Nan Zhou. Looking up, she sneered, Sir, an original copy isn't expensive, is it? You should be more professional if you're going to forge it. After saying that, Su Qingyue didn't go back to the living room, but strode from the small garden toward the parking lot. I chased after her to clarify things, but 2 bodyguards in black blocked me. I stood still and shouted at her back, Miss Su, this certificate is real. If you don't believe it, you can go to the Civil Affairs Bureau to check. Su Qingyue didn't stop. She got into the car and left immediately. Her personal assistant stayed behind and returned to the living room, coming face to face with Fong Boda. Fong Boda happened to see me pestering Su Qingyue, but didn't hear clearly what we were saying at that time. Su Qingyue left. I also chased out on my electric scooter. He immediately asked, why did Miss Su leave? Did someone offend her? The personal assistant smiled, President Su has business to handle. She left first. Please inform the elders of the family, Mr. Gu. Fong Boda nodded immediately, politely seeing the assistant off. After the person left, Fong Wenzong was worried, why did Miss Su leave? Was the hospitality at home lacking? Fong Boda thought of Su Qingyue's behavior today, looking around as if searching for someone, then thought of my handsome face. He clenched his fists. His eyes flickered. I saw Nan Zhou pestering Miss Su. Miss Su left very angry and left a message. What message? Miss Su said you should discipline your family members well. Fong Boda continued, with Nan Zhou doing this, will the Su family think our family lacks upbringing? Fong Wenzong's face turned ashen instantly. I had just left the villa area on my electric scooter, and I lost track of them. While I was feeling frustrated, my phone suddenly rang. After answering, a female voice came from the other side, boss. Information on Su Qingyue. Found it. Su Qingyue is the second daughter of the Su family elder. Rumor has it she has a violent personality, cold-blooded and ruthless. So she was sent abroad since childhood. Everyone thought the Su family would be handed to the eldest son, namely, Su Feishue's father. No one expected Su Qingyue to suddenly return to the country last week. Don't know what swift and harsh methods she used to force the old man to abdicate, and directly took control of the Su group. I frowned. Check her contact info and itinerary. I'll go find her later. After hanging up the phone, I rubbed my temples. Things were getting a bit troublesome. Someone of Su Qingyue's status travels with bodyguards. It's not easy to see her. I shouldn't have let my mouth slip today, calling her wife and making her leave in anger. I sighed, started my beat-up scooter and headed home slowly, leaving the bustling and noisy city center, arriving at the urban village in the suburbs. When I moved out of the Fong family in middle school, I didn't have much money on me. I could only rent an old house here. I got used to it later and never moved. Just as I was about to reach home after a turn, suddenly on the roadside, an old lady in her 80s or 90s darted out. I braked urgently, almost hitting her. I thought it was a scammer, but soon noticed something was wrong. Although the elderly woman was thin and small, she was dressed decently. She didn't look like she was from an ordinary family. A tag was hanging around her neck, with a contact number written on it, and a note at the end, if the elderly person is lost, please call the contact number. A great reward will be given. As expected, it's Alzheimer's. Wonder whose elderly family member is lost. I immediately took out my phone to enter the number on the tag. The blank-staring old lady suddenly reacted, then grabbed my wrist firmly. Her cloudy eyes gained a spark. Grandson-in-law. You are my grandson-in-law. The corner of my mouth twitched. Single for 22 years. How did I get another wife? Is the Civil Affairs Bureau doing a wholesale today? I found it funny, and asked casually, Grandma, who is your granddaughter? The old lady frowned in thought. What was the granddaughter's name again? Oh right, Su Qing. The old lady spoke. Her name is Su. Su what? The name she just remembered. She forgot it again the moment she spoke. The old woman became a bit anxious, mouth opening and closing, but just couldn't say those words. Don't worry, elder, take your time. It's fine if you can't remember. After comforting them, I made a phone call. At this moment, on a street not far away, Zhu Qingyue was sitting inside a Bentley. His face was gloomy. The subordinate next to him, Lu Hua, didn't even dare to breathe heavily. It was my poor care that let the old lady wander off. He didn't speak, radiating a cold aura all over. The old lady is dazed most of the time. Who would have thought she'd suddenly improve today? Sent everyone away and slipped out the door. Only after checking surveillance did we find out. The old lady actually took a bus by herself to the suburbs. This area is quite run down. Many streets don't have cameras installed. We can only do a grid search to look for her. Right at that moment, his phone suddenly rang. Su Qingyue answered immediately. A calm male voice came from the other side. Hello. The elder of your family is in my hands right now. The atmosphere inside the car instantly froze. The air grew colder by a few degrees. Everyone made a move immediately. Someone prepared to call the police. Lu Hua was also tracking the signal of the caller. Su Qingyue's eyes were sharp, his voice icy. How much money do you want? Just kidding. The boy's voice sounded a bit playful. Just wanted to tell you to take good care of the elderly in the future. Then I gave the address and hung up the phone. Lu Hua breathed a sigh of relief. This good Samaritan is way too playful. Zhu Qingyue's eyes lifted slightly. Suddenly felt the lazy voice on the phone. Sounded somewhat familiar. 5 minutes later, they arrived at the elder's location. But the boy who called was already gone without a trace. Only a police officer was waiting there with the elder. Su Qingyue asked Grandma, "How did you get here?" The old lady said mysteriously, "I came to find my grandson-in-law. He lives right around here." Su Qingyue paused slightly. Sighed, "Grandma, there is no grandson-in-law. Impossible, I saw him." The old lady continued to complain, "That heartless boy. Left me with the police and walked away." "Oh right, give me your phone for a second." Su Qingyue handed the phone to her. The elder noted down the incoming call number into her little notebook. She finally had her grandson-in-law's contact information. Early the next morning, I received a call from my college advisor. Just as I entered the office of my advisor, Professor Liang, I found Fong Boda and Li Ruyan were also there. I narrowed my eyes. Both Fong Boda and I attended Haicheng University, which belongs to the best local universities. Fong Boda got in with excellent grades, while I, because I started a company and couldn't manage it remotely easily, and couldn't outshine Fong Boda, deliberately lowered my score line, and chose the most unpopular major, energy and power engineering. But unexpectedly, the concept of new energy suddenly exploded 2 years ago. Fong Boda immediately changed his field, and I became classmates with him again. It was somewhat normal for Fong Boda to be here, but why was Li Ruyan here? Just as I thought of this, I saw Professor Liang with a serious face. "Fong Nanzhou, your qualification for postgraduate recommendation has been cancelled." While I was stunned, the advisor continued, "Your mother said your character is bad, your background is improper, and you don't meet the requirements for postgraduate recommendation. Is there some misunderstanding between you and your mother? Hurry up and apologize to her. You have a bright future ahead. Don't ruin your prospects out of temporary anger." Hearing this, Fong Boda sighed. "First, Professor Liang, Fong Nanzhou's mother is also doing it for his own good." He looked at me. "You offended Miss Su. Miss Su said she wants to make you disappear from Haicheng." It took me a while to realize. Miss Su referred to Su Qingyue, but I only spoke a couple of sentences to her. Besides, before she left yesterday, she didn't seem angry at all. Instead, Fong Boda was the one used to lying. While I was pondering, Fong Boda walked up to me. "Fong Nanzhou, this is the plane ticket Dad bought for you. He wants you to go abroad to lay low for a while. Otherwise, the Fong family won't be able to protect you either." A touch of mockery flashed in my eyes. Isn't it just fearing that I would affect the Fong family? Seeing that I wouldn't take it, Fong Boda took out another bank card. Seemingly sincere, he said, "Are you worried that you won't be able to survive abroad? There is 50,000 yuan here. Consider it allowance from me personally. Use it for now. I will give you more after I get my allowance later." The grand young master of the Fong family only has 50,000 yuan. I found it amusing. Li Ruyan, however, at this moment, snatched the bank card from Fong Boda's hand. "Boda, what are you doing? The Fong family being willing to buy him a plane ticket is already more than enough." She looked at me and commanded, "Pack your things and go abroad immediately. I have already processed the withdrawal procedures for you." I looked at her coldly. "By what right do you make decisions for me?" "By the right that I am your mother. Besides, with your academic grades, it's probably hard for you to even graduate. It's better to go out early, work, and make money." Professor Liang immediately spoke up to refute, Fong Nanzhou's mother. You misunderstood, while student Fong was at school. Before he could finish, he was directly interrupted by Li Ruyan. Professor, you don't need to speak up for him. How could I not know what he's like? He's pursuing graduate studies just because Boda is doing it, right? Take a look at himself in the mirror. See what kind of person he is. What right does he have to compare with Boda? Professor Liang choked, then looked at Fong Boda with surprise. I remember you weren't recommended, nor did you take the postgraduate entrance exam. Fong Boda smiled slightly, humbly saying, I took the special recruitment route. If an advisor values a specific student highly, private special recruitment is allowed. The prerequisite is being a well-known professor. When the professor asked Fong Boda which professor it was, he put on a humble manner, Dr. Shernan. His hydrogen energy clean fuel development was successful, applied for a patent, and was awarded the title of doctor. Hearing this, I looked at him with some surprise. Dr. Nan, how come I didn't know I wanted to specially recruit Fong Boda? Professor Liang also exclaimed in surprise, you actually know Dr. Nan? Fong Boda smiled faintly, speaking of which, it's also fate. My mom sponsored Dr. Nan's schooling back then. After succeeding in his studies, Dr. Nan found the Wu family, and said my mom was his lifesaver. Over the years, he has been providing technical support to our family business. He shouldn't refuse any request of mine. Raising an eyebrow, as a child in the Fong family, I solely relied on Mrs. Fong's care to grow up. Therefore, once I had the capability, I contacted Mrs. Fong in the name of Dr. Nan. In order to have a reason to repay Mrs. Fong for raising me, I fabricated a sponsored identity. Over the years, whenever the company under Mrs. Fong's name had any technical issues, I would help out for free. But as for being at Fong Boda's beck and call, that's truly an exaggeration. Professor Liang, however, took it seriously. Which university is Dr. Nan working at now? Fong Boda replied, I promised the dean that I would invite Dr. Nan to teach at our school. Professor Liang was overjoyed, then looked toward me, Lan Zhou. Your research direction is the same as Dr. Nan's. When the time comes, I will introduce you to him. If Dr. Nan is willing to plead for you, maybe there's still hope for the postgraduate recommendation. Fong Boda put on a worried look. Professor Liang, is this really okay? The Su family is the richest in Haicheng. They allocate a lot of R&D funding to our school every year. Professor Liang didn't care. Dr. Nan is highly sought after right now. I heard that H University and O University abroad have both sent him invitations. Many enterprises want to invest in him. If Dr. Nan is willing to step in, the school will definitely side with Dr. Nan. Fong Boda feigned a sigh. But Dr. Nan is doing this for my mom's sake. If it were for me, he would definitely spare no effort to help. But Lan Zhou is my father's illegitimate son, which puts him in opposition to my mom's position. Lan Zhou, how about I go ask Dr. Nan for you? Hearing this, I directly and coldly refused. At this moment, Fong Boda was just like a clown. The corners of my mouth curled up as I spoke directly to Professor Liang. Professor Liang, you know, I didn't want to go to graduate school in the first place. Professor Liang looked dazed, his face full of regret. It was he who discovered my professional talent, and strongly demanded that I get recommended for graduate school. He didn't expect things would come to this point. His eyes turned slightly red. Then I'll write you a job recommendation letter. Li Ruyan curled her lips. Don't waste your effort. Offending Miss Su and still wanting to find a job in Haicheng? Keep dreaming. Professor Liang was furious. I don't believe someone can truly block out the sky with one hand in Haicheng. If you really can't find a job, come be my teaching assistant. Hearing this, a warm current rushed into my heart. Then I explained, Professor, it's just a slight misunderstanding between Miss Su and me. It'll be fine once it's cleared up. You don't need to worry. Fong Boda, however, clenched his fists tightly. He didn't understand why, even though he was the top student, Professor Liang only favored Fong Lanzhou, whose grades were completely mediocre. Fong Boda was extremely annoyed. He turned to Li Ruyan and spoke, Lan Zhou, are you going to keep pestering Miss Su? She's already married. It's really not right for you to do this. Li Ruyan, as expected, flared up with rage, and immediately slapped me across the face. I looked at Li Ruyan in disbelief. I didn't expect her to suddenly strike me, right in front of Professor Liang. Li Ruyan didn't feel guilty at all, pointing at my nose and scolding, not seeing you for a few years. I see you've forgotten the family rules. Apologize to your brother right now, and guarantee you'll never see anyone from the Su family again. The warmth in my eyes gradually faded, leaving only coldness and severity. It seemed that she didn't take what I said about the last time, that day, to heart at all. At this time, did she still think of me as that submissive, ignorant boy who revered Fong Boda? Since reasoning doesn't work, then don't blame me for showing no mercy. Fong Boda watched from the side, a sense of smugness rising from the bottom of his heart. When we were kids, I bowed and scraped before him, never talking back when scolded, nor fighting back when hit. Later, after I moved away, he ran into me again in college. I clearly still had that poor look, yet I stood tall and straight in front of him. It seems that not being beaten for a few years made me forget my place. Today, he'd let Li Ruyan teach me a lesson to remember. Just as Fong Boda thought of this, he saw me slowly approach him. Just as his lips curled up, thinking I was going to apologize to him, I suddenly raised my head and smashed a fist hard onto his face. Fong Boda's head spun, completely dazed by the punch. Li Ruyan rushed over roaring, "Fong Lanzhao, how dare you hit him?" I turned my head silently, my entire body radiating a bloodthirsty, murderous aura. Li Ruyan was stunned in place by my appearance. What do you want to do? You ungrateful wolf, I am your mother. Are you going to lay a hand on me too? My voice was ice cold, enunciating each word. Since you failed to be a kind mother, don't blame me for being an unfilial son. Don't meddle in my life ever again. Otherwise, whatever you do to me, I will pay it back twofold onto Fong Boda. I withdrew my gaze, bowed deeply to Professor Liang, and thanked him for taking care of me over the past 4 years. I also stated that after handling my business, I would come back. Leaving those words behind, I turned and left without hesitation. It wasn't until my figure disappeared from the room that Li Ruyan slowly snapped out of it. Right as I walked out of the school gate, Chi Yu called, "Boss, I've cleared it up. I understand why Su Qingyue claims to be married to the public, but doesn't recognize you. The Su family looks glamorous on the surface, but for such a big family, their internal infighting has been severe over the past few years. The old man favors the eldest son's family, and wants to hand the Su family over to the main branch. Su Qingyue, as the youngest daughter, has been constantly suppressed. A few years ago, the old man chose a few unreliable men for Su Qingyue, planning a marriage alliance. It caused a huge uproar at the time, until Su Qingyue said, she has already registered her marriage with a husband from an ordinary background. That was the only reason the matter was dropped. Ji Yu also found it quite amusing whenever she brought up this husband of hers. He has never appeared in public, nor has he ever attended any of the Su family's banquets. In conclusion, there is only one truth. That is, Ji Yu was dragging it out on purpose, keeping me in suspense, but before the conclusion could be spoken, I already understood it in a flash. Did you find his itinerary and contact information? Ji Yu choked for a moment. Shanshan said, I'll send you his itinerary for the next few days in a moment. His private number couldn't be found. It's fine, I'll go corner him. For someone of Su Qingyue's status, a private number is top secret. It's perfectly normal that you couldn't find it. Ji Yu immediately gossiped, saying he is surrounded by bodyguards. He is not someone you can easily get close to. Are you planning to use forceful means, or should we keep a low profile lately? A rogue smile curved the corner of my lips. In front of the entrance of the Su's group, I straightened the courier uniform on myself. Holding a delivery box, I walked inside. I said to the front desk, this is Miss Su's delivery. It requires her personal signature. After the receptionist called the secretary's office, I was finally allowed to go upstairs and enter the exclusive elevator. Arriving at the top floor, the 88th floor, stepping out of the elevator, my field of vision instantly opened up. The entire department of the secretary's office. Over 100 people are working here, serving Su Qingyue alone. Following behind the secretary who came to pick me up, I successfully reached the president's office. Knocking on the door, a pleasant voice came from inside, come in. Just when I thought I was smoothly going to see Su Qingyue, a figure suddenly blocked me. The assistant, Lu Hua, frowned and sized me up. Mr. Fong, how is it you? Lu Hua's face looked very displeased. He still remembered that I harassed Su Qingyue at the Fong family's place yesterday. Su Qingyue didn't hold it against me, yet today I actually pushed my luck, disguising myself as a courier again to come and pester her. He waved and called over 2 bodyguards. What's going on? Without verifying identity, can just any random nobody come to the top floor? Kick him out immediately. My expression remained unchanged. What is the meaning of this? Does the Sue's group look down on us couriers? Lu Hua sneered. You really know how to shift the blame. We respect every profession. But are you a courier? Do you have a courier work ID? As soon as Lu Hua finished saying this, a work ID was thrust right in front of his face. With a half smile, I said, I really do. His face froze. Thinking of something, he ridiculed, you didn't just register this today, did you? The work ID in front of him was flipped open. The registration date was clearly marked on it. Lu Hua was instantly stunned. 8 years ago, you were already registered as a courier. Can't someone work part-time to pay for school? My voice was lazy. I spoke toward the room. Miss Sue, can you cooperate with my work now? A pleasant voice came from inside the room. Let him come in. I gave Lu Hua a provocative glance. Seeing that he was about to blow his top, only then did I bypass him and enter the room. Su Qingyue's office was in a minimalist luxury style. The black, white, and gray color tones made this place look completely devoid of warmth. After signing the document at hand, Su Qingyue finally looked up. Not a single shred of emotion could be seen in her bright eyes. I pointed at the delivery slip. Miss Su, sign right here. Her gaze lingered on me for a brief second before she took the pen to sign. At this moment, I suddenly spoke, shocking her with my words. Miss Su, in reality, you aren't married at all, are you? The woman's pen paused. She immediately raised her head. Locking her ice-cold gaze onto me, I knew clearly that I had guessed right. When registering information at the Civil Affairs Bureau, one needs to fill out personal details by hand. It's impossible to make a mistake. Su Qingyue claimed to the public that she was married, yet she didn't know me at all. After GU's investigation, the truth could only be that Su Qingyue, in order to deal with her family's pressure to marry, created a fictional fake husband for the public. She had never been to the Civil Affairs Bureau herself, so she didn't know about the fact that we are married. I said seriously, Miss Su, I know my words sound a bit unbelievable, but we are truly married. Su Qingyue slowly sat up straight, a hint of amusement appearing on her face. Mr. Fong, don't waste your efforts. Even if I am unmarried, it's impossible for me to marry you. Just a disgust. Su Feishue. I was slightly stunned. She merely knew about my past with Su Feishue, and thought I was looking for her to seek revenge, which was why she kept refusing to believe my words. I hurriedly explained, I'm looking for you not because of Su Feishue. I want to get a divorce from you. I am not interested in your emotional entanglements. Su Qingyue interrupted me. She swiftly finished signing, handed the delivery slip to me, and said, stop harassing me. Otherwise, don't blame me for being ruthless. Hearing this, I also got a bit irritated. Haven't you already been ruthless to me? Su Feishue said you wanted me to disappear from Haicheng. Su Qingyue frowned. When did I? Before she could finish her sentence, her phone suddenly rang. It was the exclusive ringtone for her grandmother. She answered immediately. The caregiver's voice came from the other end. Miss Su, the old lady is missing again. Su Qingyue anxiously rushed outside. I wanted to chase after her to make things clear, but was blocked by Lu Hua again. Mr. Fong, I advise you to stop right here. I sighed as I was escorted out of the Su's group. I walked home leisurely. Just as I reached my doorstep, I suddenly turned around and saw the elderly lady I met last time. She was tiptoeing and following sneakily behind me, with a helpless expression. Just as I was about to speak, the little old lady suddenly grabbed my wrist. Grandson-in-law, don't you think about abandoning me again? Inside the rented apartment, the old lady sat by the dining table and drank 3 glasses of water in a row. I said helplessly but seriously, I really am not your grandson-in-law. It was just that the little old lady was very stubborn. Holding the water glass, she gulped down another cup. Knowing that I couldn't reason it out with her, I took out my phone and directly dialed that number from last time. It rang once and was answered immediately. Hello. I faintly felt that the woman's voice sounded familiar. Just as I was about to say something, the phone was suddenly snatched away by the old lady. At this moment, Su Qingyue was leading a group of people to search nearby. She appeared calm and composed on the outside, but deep down, she was quite anxious. The grandmother didn't just have Alzheimer's disease. An 87-year-old elder, All bodily organs had long begun to deteriorate. She could face life-threatening danger at any moment. The instant the phone rang, she answered it immediately. Then she heard her grandmother's energetic and full-throated voice coming from the other end. "Stupid girl, don't come pick me up. I'm with my grandson-in-law." The grandson-in-law's phone number belongs to that boy from last time. So grandma is with him again now. Su Qinghua asked with a dark face, "Where are you?" "I won't tell you, did you think I couldn't be found if I didn't say?" "You're not allowed to look for me, nor are you allowed to send people to track me down." Su Qinghua scratched her head, covered the microphone, and quietly asked the attending physician about the old lady's condition. "Can we force her to come back?" The doctor shook his head, and replied in a low voice, "The old lady cannot take any stimulation right now. It's best to go along with her wishes. That boy from last time doesn't seem like a bad person either." Su Qinghua looked helpless, and coaxed into the phone again, "Grandma, I still have to deliver your medicine to you." "No need to deliver medicine. I have it with me, just rest assured. Be good and wait for me to bring my grandson-in-law back home." The little old lady hung up the phone right after saying this. She handed the phone back to me, with a proud face. "Grandson-in-law is all set." My face was full of questions. What kind of unreliable family member is this? To just hand an elder over to a stranger like this? Just as I was about to call back, the WeChat notification sounded. Someone applied to add me as a friend using my phone number. The message read, "The elder's granddaughter." I accepted the other party's friend request. The granddaughter quickly sent a message. "Please take care of my grandmother for a while. Her health has been poor lately, and she cannot take any stimulation." I sneered, held my phone and typed coldly, "It's inconvenient. My place is not a charity." Before I could finish typing the words, I suddenly heard a noise coming from the kitchen. I hurriedly walked over, only to see the old lady boiling eggs. I asked casually, "If you're hungry, eating eggs won't do." The little old lady turned around. A kind smile appeared on her wrinkled face. "Grandson-in-law, applying an egg to your face can reduce the swelling." I froze, perhaps without even realizing it myself. After being beaten by my biological mother today, although I seemingly didn't take it to heart, in reality, my entire body had been enveloped in a layer of gloom, isolating me from this world. At this moment, the old lady's words washed away the coldness within me, and warmth returned to the depths of my eyes. Then I looked down at my phone again, only to see the granddaughter's chat interface suddenly turn into a patch of orange. "You received a transfer of 300,000. With a note, this is the living expenses for a week. Tell me if it's not enough." I looked at my input interface. Re-edit the message. Alright then. Not understanding why I would suddenly meddle in others' business. The influence must be because the other party gave too much. Fong Boda's cheek from the Fong family was highly swollen. The fist print was clearly visible. Li Ruyan lowered her head. "That little scholar from Lanzhou must be jealous that you are marrying Miss Su Feishue. Wait until your father comes back. Let him teach him a harsh lesson." Mrs. Fong, Nan Jingshu, dragged her sick body downstairs. Her voice was weak, but her tone was firm. "Lanzhou is not that kind of person. You must have done something wrong first." Seeing this, although Fong Boda was unwilling, he changed the subject and said, "Mom, can you invite Dr. Lan to serve as a mentor at Haicheng University?" Mrs. Fong immediately refused flatly. "Boda, one cannot repay kindness with evil. Besides, Dr. Lan has done enough for our family and the company over all these years." Fong Boda was not surprised at all. Haicheng University is the best university around here. Perhaps Dr. Lan wants to go there himself. We can just help connect him with the school, which can also be counted as a reward for Dr. Lan's help all these years. Mrs. Fong felt that these words made sense, so she took out her phone and opened WeChat. "Then I will ask him." Fong Boda sat beside Mrs. Fong. "Dr. Lan has done so much for our family. Whatever kindness there was has long been repaid. Should the family host a banquet to entertain him, wouldn't it be better if you ask him in person then?" Dr. Lan was always responsive to Mrs. Fong's requests. "As long as he comes, and then he himself proposes to be his graduate student, Dr. Lan will definitely not refuse." Mrs. Fong was convinced. She sent a message to Dr. Lan on WeChat. "Xiao Lan, do you have time to come over to the house for a visit?" After seeing this message, my heart immediately leaped into my throat. Why would Mrs. Fong suddenly request a meeting? Could it be that her health has worsened? Thinking of Mrs. Fong's coughing sound, I felt extremely anxious. I stood up and walked out. I am free, I will head over now. But just as I was about to leave in a hurry, Mrs. Fong's WeChat message just came through. No need for right now, are you working overtime on Saturday? I want to invite you for a casual meal. Only then did I realize that my concern had made me confused. But going to the Fong family for a meal, a bitter smile rose at the corner of my lips. When I moved out of the Fong family 10 years ago, I went back on the very first weekend. Stepping into the courtyard, through the glass window, I saw Mrs. Fong, Fong Boda, and Fong Wenzong chatting and laughing together. On Mrs. Fong's face was a bright smile that I had never seen before. Li Ruyan said, "Did you see that? Without your presence, they are the true family of three. If you are really doing this for Mrs. Fong's own good, don't come to disturb her again in the future." In the end, I left quietly, and every year, only on Mrs. Fong's birthday, I would buy a small gift and leave it at the door. So many years have passed. It's about time to meet, isn't it? Then I replied to the message, "It should be my treat. See you there on Saturday at 6 p.m. After saying that, they sent a restaurant location, and Mrs. Fong happily agreed. Going to the Fong family would only cause unnecessary arguments. It's better to meet outside, to have a quiet chat with Mrs. Fong, and also to check on her health. I closed the chat window with Mrs. Fong, and found that my granddaughter had sent a few messages. The content was some reminders on how to look after the old lady. Seeing this, I quietly walked into the second bedroom, and took a short video for my granddaughter. By the side of the road not far away, two fully equipped nanny vans were parked discreetly. Su Xinyue was sitting on the sofa, working on her computer. Just then, a WeChat notification sound suddenly rang out. Su Xinyue picked it up to take a look. Then, that ice-cold face that never changed for thousands of years, actually showed a hint of surprise. The family doctor immediately asked if something had happened to the old lady. Su Qinyue pursed her lips and handed him the video to watch, only to see the old lady, sprawled out on the small floral bedsheets, sleeping soundly, even snoring softly. It was only 9 p.m. Usually, if the old lady could fall asleep before 1 a.m., it would be a massive relief. The family doctor was full of shock. The old lady is truly very different toward this boy. If he could stay by her side all the time, the old lady's health would definitely improve. Su Qingyue's gaze deepened, seemingly pondering something. The next morning, I received a message from Su Qinyue. Back and forth, the two of them chatted, which always gave Su Qinyue a feeling of talking to an old friend. It felt very comfortable. He suddenly asked if he could visit Grandma tonight. Of course, welcome anytime. Then I sent him the specific address. Su Qinyue noted down the address. Sorry to bother you then. He had to bring the family doctor along tonight, to give Grandma a health checkup, otherwise he wouldn't feel at peace. Su Qinyue saw that I didn't reply anymore. He felt that I didn't seem to like being so overly polite with others. At this moment, I was waiting outside out of sheer boredom. Suddenly, a familiar voice came over. I turned around to face a familiar face. It was Su Feishue, whose face was remembered as always gentle and considerate. Yet, they were looking at me gloomily. When I was in college, I was always alone, like a lone wolf. Su Feishue was warm and outgoing, always sticking close to me, and could be considered my only friend. It's just that now, our identities are a bit awkward. I hesitated for a moment before speaking. Is something wrong? Su Feishue sneered. Fong Boda told me about your background. Why did you keep it a secret? I hate homewreckers and mistresses the most in my life. Yet I was like a fool, chasing someone like you for 4 years. Is it fun? Suddenly, my heart felt as if it were being squeezed hard by a giant hand. Their parents at home were not harmonious, and there seemed to be an illegitimate daughter. Fong Boda merely revealed my identity, and it easily shattered 4 years of classmate friendship. I took a step back to distance myself from them. Su Feishue, however, took a step forward to question me. Don't you have anything you want to explain to me? Explain what? Explain why I am an illegitimate child, or why I chose to be born from Li Ruyan's womb. I gave a scoff and, before finishing, turned to leave. Since our paths are different, there's no point in planning together. Since they look down on my background, then this friend is not worth keeping. My resolute attitude made Su Feishue inexplicably irritated. Seeing me getting further and further away, a sudden panic seized their heart. Without thinking, they grabbed my wrist. You can't leave. I looked back at them. What else is there? Su Feishua's face was tight. They felt that my distant and indifferent look was very frustrating, and anger flared up in their heart, mixed with an inexplicable sense of grievance. Clearly, I was the one who let go first. So how did it feel like I was the one being abandoned? Thinking this way, their mocking voice was heard again. You are still working part-time here, which means you haven't found a formal job yet, right? Why don't you come and be my personal assistant? I broke free from their grip, and coldly refused. I'm afraid I'm not up for the task. Su Feishua persisted. You don't need to do much. There is an apartment near the company. You just need to live there, and take care of my daily life every day. Is 50,000 a month enough for you? My eyes instantly turned cold. You want me to be your mistress? Su Feishua chuckled. You'll definitely be up for this, right? After all, your mother was a mistress. Influenced by what you saw and heard since childhood. It can be considered a deep family tradition. I believe you will be very professional. Hearing this, I shoved them hard to the ground. Looking down at them coldly, that's enough from you. But after they stood up, instead of getting angry, they smiled, their eyes dead and fixed. Fong Nanzhou. Believe it or not, in the end you can only be someone's plaything. Since that's the case, why not choose me, at least for the sake of us being classmates? I can be gentler to you. I'll give you time to think it over. If you change your mind, come find me anytime. Su Feishua left after dropping those words. I gave a self-deprecating smile, and turned around, only to suddenly see Su Qinghua standing at the door of the private room. Su Qinghua disliked social gatherings, so she ultimately made an excuse and prepared to leave with Lu Hua. But she didn't expect that just as she stepped out of the private room door, she would see the hallway not far away, where the scene just now had just played out. Her gaze was deep, showing no emotion. Lu Hua, on the other hand, clicked his tongue at me twice. I was just saying, why didn't you find a stable job after graduating from college, and still did so many part-time jobs? Turns out it was caused by Su Feishua's relentless pressing. Hearing this, my face was full of questions. Lu Hua sighed again. So you had no choice but to come and tangle the boss before. After all, in Haicheng, there are barely any people who dare to cross the Su family. I narrowed my eyes, and there was no rebuttal. It's been 2 days, and it's still just us. The first time we've had a calm conversation. Lu Hua couldn't bear to see the boss like this. Maybe we should help him. He's quite pitiful. I feel a sense of hope. Yes, help the poor kid. I'll go to the Civil Affairs Bureau to handle the divorce papers. The kid's company is still waiting to go public. But just as I thought of this, Su Qinghua spoke coldly. Why should I, because of an insignificant person, make Su Feishua unhappy? After saying that, she strode past me. What, pitiful boy? In those eyes that looked at me, there was uncontrollable cunning and joy. Where is the pity in that? It's clearly hateful. Moreover, being able to get her personal itinerary shows that I am very resourceful. The corridor soon fell silent. I stood there, feeling that Su Qinghua was cold-hearted. Forget it. With an elderly person at home, I can't stay out for long. I'll continue looking for him tomorrow. At night, Su Qinghua left work on time and went to an old neighborhood in the suburbs. Carrying fruit in her hand, she found a house according to the address on WeChat. She knocked on the door. A familiar voice soon came from inside. Coming. The door opened. Su Qinghua saw that old Mrs. Su looked very healthy. Only then did she look around. Though it was only a 60-square-meter 2-bedroom apartment, it was very neat and cozy. However, the sound of running water came from the bathroom. Is he taking a shower? Su Qinghua withdrew her gaze as if she had been electrocuted. Feeling a bit uneasy, the family doctor was about to enter behind her, but she stopped him. Give me the equipment. Go wait in the car. Su Qinghua quickly and simply checked the elderly woman's blood pressure, blood sugar, and heart rate. Perhaps because she slept well last night, all the readings were very healthy. The old lady said proudly, "My grandson-in-law takes such good care of me. Seeing is believing." Su Qinghua finally felt relieved. She glanced toward the bathroom again, then packed the equipment. "Since you're fine, I'll head out now." The old lady was stunned. "Aren't you staying for dinner? My grandson-in-law is a great cook. It's not very convenient." Su Qinghua put down the testing equipment. "Leave this here." The old lady's eyes darted around. "Take it away. If you leave it here, my grandson-in-law won't know how to use it. Besides, I don't want Dr. Fong to come here." I want you to come every day to check on me. If her granddaughter comes every day, won't she see the grandson-in-law? Once they develop feelings, they can end their separation. The old lady felt. Her chubby great-grandson was already waving at her. Just as Su Qingyue was about to say something, the water in the bathroom suddenly stopped. She immediately stood up, grabbed the medical box, and left in a panic. I'm leaving now. Come back tomorrow. The moment the door closed, I happened to walk out of the bathroom fully dressed. Where's your granddaughter? She left. Said it wasn't convenient. She's just too stiff. And likes to keep a straight face. Grandson-in-law, is that why you don't like her? Everything can be changed. I'm not your grandson-in-law. You are. I was helpless. After spending the last 2 days together, I found the old lady to be very kind. She goes along with me on everything, except for being very stubborn about this one thing. A few days later, the old lady suddenly said she wanted to go home to get some clothes. So I messaged the granddaughter and asked for the address. But when I opened the location, I was stunned. Manor number 1. Isn't this the Su family home? The entire neighborhood covers 3,000 acres. The Su family's old residence alone takes up over 2,000 acres. It is the most famous wealthy area in Haicheng. I thought the old lady's home was one of those small villas. I didn't dare think it was the Su family. But after arriving at the destination, I looked up at the antique, imposing black gate carved with exquisite patterns. I asked, Grandma, is this your home? The little old lady looked sleepy, her gaze a bit blank. Grandson-in-law, I can't remember. I had no choice but to message the granddaughter. She replied immediately, wait there, I'll be there soon. As the car drove along, I noticed that even the nearest neighbor would take 5 minutes to reach by car. It really wasn't a place for wandering around. I helped the old lady sit on a nearby stone bench. Suddenly, a luxury car stopped in front of us. Fong Boda and Li Ruyan got out of the back seat and rushed toward us. Li Ruyan's brow was tightly furrowed. She scolded, Fong Lanzhao, it really is you. What are you doing here? She was here today as a nanny, to accompany Fong Boda on a visit to the Su family. From a distance, she saw a boy lingering in front of the Su gate. She didn't expect it to actually be me. Fong Boda looked at the closed gate of the Su residence. Lanzhao, are you here to pester Miss Su Qingyue again? As soon as he said this, Li Ruyan shouted angrily, you lowlife. Do you even know what day it is? Get lost right now. If you ruin Boda's chances, I'm not finished with you. Although I was sick of them, the old lady was here, and I didn't want a conflict. So, suppressing my impatience, I explained, I'm here to bring an elderly person home. I took a wrong turn. Fong Boda blurted out instinctively, isn't that your wife's grandmother? How could she possibly live in this neighborhood? I shot back, why not? Is this neighborhood owned by your family? Fong Boda was speechless, but Li Ruyan started cursing at me. Stop pretending. How could your poor wife's grandmother live here? She looked directly at the old lady. Old woman, tell me then, which villa number do you live in? Hearing this, I frowned, just about to say something. The little old lady suddenly stood up. I remembered. I live right here. Granddaughter's husband, come home with me. She grabbed my hand and walked toward the main gate of the Su family. It was still 100 meters away from the gate, but after just 2 steps, Fong Boda spoke up, Nanzhou, you've made up so many excuses. Aren't you just trying to use the old lady as a shield to get into the Su family? I paused in my tracks, and suddenly looked ahead at the Su family residence. Although I had some inkling when I saw this magnificent gate, it was lingering in the back of my mind, but I could not connect the polite granddaughter, on WeChat, with the cold and ruthless Su Qingyue. Perhaps the little old lady remembered it wrong. Just as I was about to double-check, Li Ruyan suddenly rushed over, and lunged to grab the old lady. You old hag, making up such lies to come and beg for handouts. How shameless. I won't let you disrupt the Su family. Startled, I shielded the little old lady with one hand, grabbed Li Ruyan with the other, and pushed her away forcefully. What are you doing? The little old lady is at such an advanced age. She cannot handle any shoving. Li Ruyan was pushed back several steps. Once she stabilized her footing, she immediately snapped back, you ungrateful wolf. You actually beat your own mother for this old thing. I'm going to call the police and report you for being unfilial. I ignored her, and hurriedly looked at the little old lady. When had the old lady ever been cursed at like this? Sure enough, she was already shaking with rage. Her hand was pressed against her chest, her body trembling uncontrollably, and she started sliding directly to the ground. I hurriedly supported her, and immediately pulled out the fast-acting, heart-saving pills from her pocket. However, after opening the cap, I found it was empty. My pupils contracted. The elderly lady's health was very poor, unless absolutely necessary. Manual chest compressions and CPR were not suitable. It would be best to take medication. I suddenly looked at that large gate. The Su family must have medicine. Even if the old lady isn't a member of the Su family, she is still their neighbor. They wouldn't just watch someone die without helping. I picked up the old lady. "Grandma, don't be afraid. I'll take you to find medicine." But Fong Boda grabbed my arm forcefully. "Nanjo, don't be like this. The Su family won't let you in." He looked at the little old lady, a touch of gloom flashing through his eyes. This old lady's complexion looked terrible. It seemed like she really might not make it. If she passed away just like this, Fong Nanjo's wife would definitely hate him to death. At this moment, I felt like I was going crazy with rage. With overwhelming fury burning in my eyes, I kicked him, sending him tumbling to the ground. But the next moment, my leg was tightly hugged again. Li Ruyan sat on the ground, completely disregarding her image, desperately holding on to me. "Do you think you two are the only ones who can pull a scam? Who doesn't know how? I'm dying too. I'm being beaten to death by my own son. Even if I die today, I won't let this old hag scam the Su family." I was shaking with anger, mindful of the little old lady in my arms. I couldn't break free for a moment. Just then, a black Bentley drove up slowly. Su Qingyue got out of the car and asked sharply, "What are you doing?" Fong Boda hurriedly spoke up, "Miss Su, it's Nanjo. He insists on bringing a dying old lady to scam the Su family. It's all my fault for not stopping him." Hearing this, I turned around slowly. Upon seeing that the person I was holding was Grandma, Su Qingyue's pupils dilated instantly. She immediately strode toward us. She appeared calm, but her heart was filled with panic and anxiety. Grandma was her closest relative in this world. Over the past few years, her health had been deteriorating, and the family doctor had already hinted that the old matriarch might not make it through this year. She could not lose Grandma. Seeing her approach, I had already guessed the truth. But now was not the time to talk about it. I said hurriedly, "The old matriarch is having a heart attack, and she just ran out of her emergency medicine. Timely medication will keep her safe." Su Qingyue pursed her lips. She reached out to take Grandma, and rushed into the Su residence without looking back. I didn't follow her inside, only because my leg was still being held by Li Ruyan. Fong Boda looked at Su Qingyue's departing figure in confusion, a sharp wave of uneasiness suddenly surging in his heart. She couldn't really be the old matriarch of the Su family, could she? How could the old matriarch of the Su family be with Fong Nanjo? She is the grandmother of Fong Nanjo's wife. Li Ruyan let go of me, stood up, and patted the dust off her clothes. Miss Su was so nervous, probably because she's afraid of someone actually dying. If that happened, the Su family would be suspected of ignoring a dying person. It wouldn't sound good if word got out. She glared at me fiercely. "Weren't you just taking advantage of this, to rush toward the Su family with that old hag?" Fong Boda frowned in deep thought. True, it's impossible that Fong Nanjo's thug wife is Su Qingyue. He was really overthinking it. Just then, the main gate of the Su family opened, and Su Feishue walked out. Fong Boda's eyes lit up, and he smiled. "Sister Feishue, you could have just waited for me at the parking lot. Why did you come all the way to the main gate?" Su Feishue had a look of displeasure on her face. Fong Boda had sent a message saying he was almost there, but he had brought quite a lot of gifts, so he asked her to come out and meet him. She had waited at the parking lot for a long time, and seeing no sign of him, she simply walked out to take a look. As a result, she spotted me immediately. Her footsteps paused slightly. In an instant, the impatience on her face vanished, replaced by a forced touch of gentleness. She said to Fong Boda, "Since it's your first time visiting, I was worried you wouldn't find the way." Fong Boda also ran up to her, looking delighted. "Sister Feishue, you are so kind." He asked tentatively, "Is the old matriarch of the Su family at home?" "Great-grandmother is in poor health, and has been recuperating at home. The old matriarch lives alone in a separate courtyard. Don't let them bother us." Su Feishue took this for granted. Fong Boda, however, believed it, and was completely relieved. Su Feishue stared at me shamelessly. She didn't miss any subtle emotion on my face, trying to find jealousy, envy, or resentment. But my face remained completely calm. I was worried about the old lady, and paid no attention to the affectionate show the two were putting on. Now, I am basically certain that her granddaughter is Su Chinue. I looked at that large gate, wondering if I would be stopped if I went in now. Suddenly, the light in front of me dimmed. Su Feishue stood right in front of me and said, "Fong Lanzhao, did you come to find me because you finally understood?" With a gloomy face, I said nothing. Su Feishue sneered, her words filled with malice. "If you've understood, just call me. Who allowed you to come to the Su family? Is the Su family gate something a bastard like you can enter? But if you really want to go in and take a look, you can. As long as—" Before she could finish, Fong Boda interrupted. "Sister Feishue, you misunderstood. Lanzhao is waiting for his wife's grandmother. The elderly lady just had a sudden heart attack, and was carried inside by Miss Su Chinue for emergency treatment." Su Feishue was slightly stunned. "What? What wife?" Fong Boda chimed in, "Yes. I haven't had the chance to tell you yet. Lanzhao is married." Su Feishue was stunned, her eyes turning red. She gritted her teeth. "Fong Lanzhao, who is that woman?" She looked as if she were catching an unfaithful partner. I looked at her with mockery in my eyes. "Su Feishue, who my wife is has nothing to do with you." Su Feishue's voice suddenly grew louder. "How can it have nothing to do with me? I'd like to see, who dares to marry you, without my permission?" Fong Boda quickly answered, "I heard from Lanzhao's mother that she's a thug girl." Su Feishue clenched her fists, speaking without thinking. "You degrade yourself like this? Fine, a bastard and a thug really are a perfect match." Fong Boda continued to add fuel to the fire. "Lanzhao must be very resentful too, right? That's why he always pesters Miss Su Chinue." I let out a cold, mocking laugh. "Fong Boda, you consider yourself the young master of the Fong family, but why is your mind filled with such indecent thoughts? Is there nothing else?" Hearing this, Fong Boda's face stiffened. He clenched his fists and sighed, "I know you're doing this for revenge. Against Sister Feishue and me. Miss Su Chinue has long been married. You shouldn't ruin someone else's marriage." Su Feishue was furious upon hearing this. She had been waiting for my call for the past 2 days, thinking that if I softened and begged for mercy, she might let me off the hook. But it turned out I had already found a replacement. Thinking of this, she suddenly became enraged. "I was wondering why your wife's grandmother would suffer a sudden illness at the gate of my house. Turns out you came to see Chinue. Fong Lanzhao, how can you be so shameless?" Furious, she pointed at me and ordered the guard, "Did you see clearly? Remember this face. Do not allow him to take another step into the Su family home." Fong Boda lowered his head, a smug smile appearing on his lips. Over this gate of the Su family, Su Feishue could still make half the decisions. However, the next moment, the butler of the Su family walked out from inside the gate. His gaze swept across everyone one by one, then he came up to me. "Mr. Fong Lanzhao, Miss Chinue invites you inside." Fong Boda was stunned. Su Feishue was dumbfounded. I looked up with a half-smile, glancing at the guard. "So, can I go in now?" The guard carefully glanced at Su Feishue, and opened the gate without hesitation. He still understood who called the shots in the Su family. After entering the house, Su Feishue and her group followed behind. Li Ruyan glared at me with rage. "Miss Su Chinue probably asked you to pick up your grandmother. Once you pick her up, get lost immediately. A lowlife like you better not dirty the Su family's carpet." With those words, several people entered the living room together. At a glance, they saw old Madame Su sitting upright in the main seat of the sofa. The old lady glared at them. "You wicked woman, who are you calling a lowlife?" The old lady had changed into luxurious clothes, but her complexion was still not very good. Su Chinue sat coldly on her left. Li Ruyan stood frozen on the spot. Fong Boda's legs turned to jelly, and he almost fell to the ground. Fortunately, Su Feishue supported him. Su Feishue asked loudly, "What's wrong with you?" Fong Boda's hands were shaking. He was trying to climb up into the Su family. Every elder here was someone he had to rack his brains to please. Before even entering the family, he had offended the old madam first. He suddenly let out a bitter smile. "Lanzhao, why did you lie to us? saying that old Madame Su is your wife's grandmother, causing us to disrespect her. Instantly, I felt several suspicious glances in the room turned toward me. Li Ruyan also snapped out of it, knowing that the old madam has dementia. You actually dare to deceive her. What do you take the Su family for? Kneel down and apologize to me right now. My eyes darkened. Are they trying to shift all the blame onto me? Fong Boda took the opportunity to clear his name. What a clever tactic. A teacup was thrown over by the old lady, hitting Li Ruyan directly. The scalding tea inside spilled all over her, but Li Ruyan didn't dare to scream. You bastard! The old madam snapped angrily. She is my granddaughter. Enduring the pain of the burn, Li Ruyan said, Old madam, you've been deceived by him. I am absolutely certain his wife is just a thug. No need to argue. Why don't we just ask the person involved? To the side, Su Feishua's mother spoke up. Qingyue, is he really your husband? I looked toward Su Qingyue. Then, I heard the expected answer, no. What an ungrateful, treacherous woman. A flash of anger crossed my eyes. Fong Boda, however, looked overjoyed, and breathed a sigh of relief. Li Ruyan curled her lips. I knew all of this was Fong Lanzhao's trick. I sneered, just about to speak, only to hear the woman's voice ring out again. It was Grandma who mistook his identity, so I asked Mr. Fong to help take care of Grandma. For a while, everyone drew closer. No one expected things to develop this way, so that's why Fong Boda pretended to go downstairs. Lanzhao, why didn't you tell us? If you had said so earlier, this misunderstanding wouldn't have happened. Mr. Fong Boda, Su Qingyue said, leaning back on the sofa. Her posture was casual, but her tone was powerful as she spoke. Hiding behind others and dodging responsibility when things happen. Is this how the Fong family raises their younger generation? Old Mrs. Su was enlightened by these words. She instantly said in anger, Fine, do you think just because my mind has issues, I can't see through your little tricks, committing wrongs without remorse, and even trying to shift the blame onto others? You two are truly shameless. Old Mrs. Su looked directly at Su Feishue. Call off the engagement. I do not accept this great-grandson-in-law. Fong Boda trembled all over. The marriage he had worked so hard to obtain could not just ruin like this. He then looked at Su Feishue, only to see the woman looking dazed, her eyes fixed on me. Clearly, she hadn't recovered from the shock of my marriage yet. Fong Boda clenched his fists, lowered his head, and walked up to Su Feishue. Feishue, let me explain. It's my fault. Don't worry, even if the marriage is cancelled, I will keep my promise to introduce you to that person. Su Feishue snapped out of it. Fong Boda was still going to introduce Dr. Nan to her. In China's current new energy projects, Dr. Nan was one of the very best. She hastily said to old Mrs. Su, Great-grandma, Fong Boda just didn't know any better. Please forgive him. Besides, the two families have already exchanged betrothal gifts. It's really not easy to call off the engagement. Old Mrs. Su gave her a deep look. Whatever. The old lady understood a principle: one must play deaf and dumb. To be the head of a household, her great-granddaughter's affairs were for her parents to decide. She didn't want to interfere too much. But Su Feishue's mother smiled and said, Grandma, did you forget to give the meeting gift? Hearing this, old Mrs. Su instantly dropped her eyelids. I'll have someone transfer 180,000 to Feishue. Su Feishue's mother's face fell. But, didn't you say before that you'd give the young couple a 2% share, for fear that they'd be short on cash as newlyweds? If you asked who the wealthiest person in the Su family was, it would definitely be old Mrs. Su. She came from a wealthy family in Kyoto, had a massive dowry herself, and controlled a 20% stake in the Su family. Su Feishue's mother had long wanted to use the marriage to demand a huge fortune from her. Everything had been agreed upon, but the old lady changed her mind at the last minute. Old Mrs. Su looked at her with a half-smile. She said willfully, I'm not satisfied with this great-grandson-in-law, so I won't give it. Fong Boda's face turned pale. He felt deeply humiliated. The Su family had many servants, and this news would surely spread. By then, the entire Haicheng would know that he was loathed by the old lady. Wealthy families value reputation above all else. Today, the old lady had completely crushed his dignity under her feet, but the old lady didn't care about that at all. Leaving those words behind, she pulled me directly, took Su Qingyue with her, and went to the courtyard where she lived. Then she made an excuse to leave, asking Su Qinyue to entertain her grandson-in-law well for her, before quickly walking away with her attendants. In the blink of an eye, only Su Qinyue and I were left in the courtyard. The night was as dark as ink. Su Qinyue and I stood side by side. Just as I was hesitating on how to start the conversation, Su Qinyue suddenly looked at me, frowning tightly with underlying disgust. WeChat nickname, lacking iron in 5 elements, not to be outdone. I also suddenly looked at her seriously. Silly second girl. Su Qinyue's face turned green. You actually fooled Grandma into telling you even this. As expected, your motives are impure. Grandma sticking to him might have been an accident, with no traces of scheming involved, but this man took Grandma in out of kindness. Maybe it was because Grandma accidentally revealed her identity. I snapped back at her, not forgetting the main business. I remember you said on WeChat that you would do me a favor. Can you come to the Civil Affairs Bureau with me, to check our marital status? Su Qinyue's face was grim. She said impatiently and sharply, fine, let's go. If it's not true, I hope you stop using Grandma to pester me. The old lady's head popped out from the window. Wretched girl, are you bullying my grandson-in-law? Hearing this, Su Qinyue's face instantly grew anxious. No, dinner was quite simple. 4 dishes and 1 soup, just right for 3 people. It was just that the old lady had little appetite. After a few bites, she put down her chopsticks. Grandson-in-law, I'm tired. Let's go home. Please stop tossing around. You should rest at home tonight. This small courtyard was like a mini nursing home, fully equipped with all kinds of medical equipment. Yet the old lady nervously grabbed my hand. Then can you stay and keep me company? I frowned and glanced at Su Qinyue. In fact, I was also worried about the old lady, but this arrogant woman despised me so much, and suspected that I was using the old lady to get close to her. She would definitely not agree. Su Qinyue fell silent for a moment. You can. Then she gave me a meaningful glance. Obviously, she was doing it entirely for Grandma, warning me not to have any improper thoughts. My mouth twitched. The old lady was satisfied. Good. Wherever my grandson-in-law is, I will be. After dinner, I sent the old lady back to her room to rest. The old lady must have been truly exhausted today, and she had suffered another episode of her illness. As soon as she lay down, she drifted off into a heavy sleep. She slept extremely uneasily. Left with no choice, I could only sit by the bed to keep her company. Outside the window, Su Qinyue asked with a serious expression, what is going on with Grandma? The family doctor, who had studied psychology, heaved a sigh. Although I don't know why the old lady is so certain about this boy, I can more or less guess why she is so insecure, and so terrified that her grandson-in-law will leave. Then the family doctor took another look at Su Qinyue. The old lady probably feels that she won't make it through this year. He was afraid that if he left, you would have nothing left to hold on to. His grandson-in-law is the only one he could leave behind to keep you company. Zhu Qinyue was slightly stunned. In those pitch-black eyes, uncontrollable emotions were surging. Only after a long while did they return to calmness. Standing in the moonlight, she seemed to blend completely into the darkness behind her. No one knew how much time had passed. The woman suddenly turned around and strode toward the main house. Fong Boda had a very difficult time during this meal, because his branch of the family lost 2% of the shares. Su Feishua's mother, Lu Meijian, was highly dissatisfied. She spoke to him with sharp, mocking thorns in her words. Isn't Fong Nanzhou an illegitimate son of your family? How is it that he could please the old lady, but you couldn't? Fong Boda could only lower his head and apologize. I am not as sweet-talking and good at pleasing people as Nanzhou. Lu Meijian sneered. I don't care what method you use. You must get that 2% of the shares back for me. Otherwise, don't even think about entering the Su family's door. Fong Boda had a bitter grievance but couldn't speak it out. With great difficulty, the meal finally ended. He could finally take his leave. But before he could depart, Su Qinyue returned. The moment she entered, she brought a powerful sense of oppression. Her gaze swept sharply like a physical beam across the leftovers on the table. Her expression turned even uglier after a cold sneer. Grandmother couldn't eat anything tonight, yet they were here enjoying a lavish feast together. Seeing her expression, Lu Meijian didn't dare to speak. It was Su Feishua's father, Su Yuanjie, who knitted his brows and questioned Qinyue. Why are you here? Su Qingyue completely ignored this older brother only in name, and instead looked toward Fong Boda. Since the engagement hasn't been called off, then right now, he counts as a member of the Su family, correct? Since he is a member of the Su family, he must follow the Su family's rules. He defied his elders today, so he is punished to kneel in the ancestral hall for the night. Su Qingyue brooked no argument and gestured directly behind her. 2 bodyguards walked up to Fong Boda. "Young Master Fong, after you." At this moment, Fong Boda was a bit dazed. Kneeling in the ancestral hall for a whole night, hampered since childhood, how could he possibly endure that? He looked to Su Feishue for help, only to see that she didn't dare to resist the power of the person in charge at all. He took a deep breath, and could only follow the bodyguards. Right before stepping out the door, he heard Su Feishue asking her aunt, "Where is that Fong Lanzhao? Has he left?" Then came Su Qingyue's warning reply, "He is my guest. He is staying at the Su family mansion tonight." Fong Boda followed the bodyguards to the ancestral hall, but the bodyguard said, "The young lady said you two aren't married yet, so you cannot enter the Su family ancestral hall. Just kneel outside." Outside, the floor was made of solid gray bricks. Fong Boda wanted to say something more, but the 2 bodyguards put their hands behind their backs, staring coldly at young Master Su. In October, the nights were already very cold. Fong Boda was shivering violently from the cold. The piercing chill seeped from his knees into the gaps of his bones. He wanted to slack off a bit, but those 2 bodyguards stared at him like door gods. Though they didn't speak, it made one's spine tingle with fear. Thinking about how I was currently lying in a warm and soft bed, Fong Boda gnashed his teeth in hatred. But he can only stay in this Su family mansion for one night, while his own future allows him to live here for a lifetime. Moreover, he is about to meet the male PhD holder. He must play this PhD card well. When I woke up, I was already lying in bed, with a small pink blanket draped over me, and the little old lady. The decoration style of this room didn't really match. I didn't think too much about it. After getting up and washing up, I had breakfast with the little old lady and Su Qingyue. There was a plate of fried sugar cakes on the dining table. The little old lady immediately picked one up with her chopsticks, making Su Qingyue frown. "Grandmother, your blood sugar is high. It's not suitable for you to eat such oily and high-sugar things." Just as she was thinking about how to stop her, she heard the boy say calmly, "Grandmother, this sugar cake isn't suitable for you." Then, that little old lady, who usually ignored medical advice, and was greedy and stubborn, turned her hand around in midair, and placed the sugar cake into my bowl. The little old lady smiled pleasingly, "Grandson-in-law, I picked this for you." Su Qingyue was a bit dazed. She gave me a scrutinizing look, not understanding why grandmother listened to me so much. I ate the sugar cake without any politeness, then looked at Su Qingyue. "By the way, when we go to the Civil Affairs Bureau later, you need to bring your ID card and household register." The little old lady asked curiously, "What are you going to the Civil Affairs Bureau for?" "I lost my marriage certificate." "The marriage certificate is needed for a divorce." I really wasn't trying to brush the old lady off, but unexpectedly, as soon as these words came out, the little old lady spoke up, "It's not lost." She rushed into the bedroom, and quickly brought 2 red marriage certificates out, handing them to me and Su Qingyue. I stared flabbergasted at the marriage certificate in my hand, suddenly realizing something. The little old lady called me grandson-in-law the first time she saw me. She knew all along that we were married. Feeling like I had caught a clue, I immediately asked grandmother, "How did this marriage certificate end up with you?" The little old lady was startled, and her eyes became a bit dazed. "I can't remember clearly." "Then how did Miss Su and I get married?" The little old lady continued to shake her head. "I don't remember. I got a little anxious." "Grandmother, try to think about it carefully." "Enough." Su Qingyue let out a low shout, stepping directly forward to block the space between me and the little old lady. She looked at me with cold eyes. "Mr. Fong, this certificate is real,